Hello and welcome. Just a super quick one, just to cover some thoughts that I've got in my head. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Then saw it tonight. This is going to be spoilers for the next few minutes. So if you've not seen the movie, please go away. And if you're interested in my thoughts, come back later. In a nutshell, loved it. I wasn't really sure what to expect because I understood from some of the reviews I'd read and just the nature of the multiverse in itself, it was going to be potentially a little bit convoluted, and I knew it was going to be a cameo fest because I'd had the much rumoured Illuminati sequence spoiled for me a couple of times before actually getting to see it. So I knew that we were going to get John Krasinski and stuff like that. That said, I had an absolute blast with this movie. It's unforgiving. There's no recap. There is no previously of. There's not even really much in the way of exposition to bring you up to speed. If you have not seen the movies leading into this and you've not seen WandaVision, you've got no hope to understand at all what is going on. And that's going to be a problem as we move further into Phase 4. Because these movies, with the nature of the multiverse and things like that, it's only going to get more and more convoluted potentially for people to follow, and I think it's going to switch a lot of people off. This is a far less straightforward approach to storytelling than like phases 1 to 3 were, which was, big bad wants to destroy half the universe when he gets the stones. The Infinity Stones, which became the MacGuffin of the previous 3 phases. We're still not really sure what the MacGuffin ultimately is at this point yet, which is why I can appreciate the argument that some people feel the MCU at the moment is a bit directionless. It doesn't really know where it wants to go, but I trust in Kevin Feige, and I assume he's got a plan. And nothing more, sort of encapsulates that feeling for people more than probably this movie will. It is relentless in its pacing, which I think at the same time will also throw people off. It doesn't really slow down too much in terms of like overly dialogue heavy sequences. A lot of stuff is just glossed over, and you are expected to keep up with the knowledge you have of how these multiverses work. If you've watched like Loki, the Marvel Disney Plus TV show, and you've watched No Way Home, you'll already have a little bit of experience. And obviously, if you come from the comic backgrounds, this is nothing in terms of sort of the nature of the storytelling that's done in the comics. So that's fine. So I can understand like this movie, and it's not going to be for everyone, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's had a slightly divisive reaction with the critics. I genuinely sit here on the opening night in the UK, and I don't know how it's going to go down with the general public, because it does go some places, and one of the avenues it does explore, and they don't waste any time. You learn this reveal within the first 15 minutes that the big bad of the movie is Wanda. She is on a multiversal rampage to try and get her kids back from WandaVision. And if you've not seen WandaVision, you won't even have any idea that she, manifested these children. The movie doesn't even take any time to explain this to you. You just told that I've had children that I, made manifest, and in another multiverse they exist, and I can go and be with them. So she needs newcomers. America Chavez is multiversal jumping ability. To be able to extract that power from her, put it in herself, and be able to go and be with her children. And that's the plot. That's the plot. And then Strange learns this very early on, and has to, amass an army of sorcerers and various other things to try and stop Wanda from basically killing America. So that's your MacGuffin. That's the plot setup. And like I say, it wastes no time getting into that. I know there are going to be people out there who will utterly detest what they've done with Wanda in this movie, especially because aspects of WandaVision, although she showed she had a dangerous side, and what she did in the town of Westview in like enslaving the population is not great, but she goes full villain rampage in this. She is actually murdering people, and I think this is going to be a tonal shift that is going to be far too much for some people, and I can understand that, and I get it, I appreciate it, but she plays it really well, and I'm not necessarily saying that you feel any kind of empathy for Wanda, even by the end, because she has ultimately done all these things. And, you know, the cameos that obviously come up in the middle of the movie, you know, we're seeing, like, you know, a very famous version of Charles Xavier that everyone, you know, sort of, who's watched Marvel movies of the last 2 decades will be very strongly endeared to. He gets dispatched very quickly. You've got, you know, the fan casting of John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Yeah, he's gone. Anson Mount gets to redeem the work he did on the diabolically bad Inhumans TV show, and actually, you know, for the 2 minutes 30 screen time he gets is a decent Black Bolt. Yeah, he's gone. Hayley Atwell looks absolutely stunning, with plenty of charisma and screen presence as Captain Carter. She's gone. So, you know, and the Illuminati's rounded off with Natasha Lynch's Captain Marvel, who looks great. She lasts the longest, but she's gone. And then it's rounded off by I can never pronounce his name. I do apologise. Chiwetel Ejiofor's Baron Mordo. The Illuminati sequence is going to be a big drawing point for a lot of people who've heard rumours of this mythical sequence existing, and it does kind of live up to expectation. It's not bad. It's brief, but you do get to see John being the Reed I think everybody wanted him to be. And from a personal point of view, a moment that made my heart, nearly burst. And I'm not gonna lie, anyone who's aware of me online and just talks this kind of stuff with me on the podcast Discord or on Twitter and stuff like that knows my main Marvel love, and it always has been X-Men. And I can't wait to see ultimately what the MCU do with the X-Men whenever they choose to arrive. And as a brief aside, like, all those people who were thinking this movie is going to find a way to bring the X-Men into the MCU, doesn't happen. Still none the wiser. The word mutant, as it happens, doesn't even get mentioned in this movie at all. But there's a moment when Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier turns up, and he's in the yellow hover chair from the 92 animated TV show, and when he turns up, it plays a few seconds of the X-Men 92 theme, the and I honestly, my heart nearly burst, and my eyes watered when I realised just how much the X-Men, the concept of the X-Men and those characters and that world means so much to me. And I just miss them, and I can't wait to see what Feige's got in store for the X-Men. And also, as one of the parting shots of Charles Xavier in the movie is, he says to Stephen Strange, when someone stumbles and loses their way, they're not gone forever, which is a line that he says to his younger self, James McAvoy, in Days of Future Past, the movie Days of Future Past. So it was like, my God, this is giving me like a massive emotional punches I didn't expect to get. And it's not like, don't get me wrong, the movie doesn't play them as emotional moments. There's not this big fanfare and anything like that. It's just what it means to me as an X-Men fan, and it's so brief, and it to so many people it'll be so throwaway, those moments. But to me, I was like, my God, this is crazy. So yeah, I mean, I'm pleased the movie didn't end up being a cameo fest like some people thought it was going to be. I think the performances on the whole are excellent. I don't think anyone really puts a foot wrong. Danny Elfman's score is probably one of the best in the MCU. It's really, really good. And on a technical level, Sam Raimi, I know a lot of reviews have made a big deal about his return and like what it potentially means, and it's brought about the conversation of like, are they basically like directors for hire, or can they put their own unique stamp on the movies they make? And in this case, I would say absolutely he was pretty much given full creative control in terms of, how he presented these sequences. Anyone who's seen any previous work of his will recognise the signature style immediately, and there's some really genuinely creepy moments. Some bits are played for like as close to horror as you'll get for the MCU, and I'm not saying some of these reviews like basically said, it goes full horror in places. It doesn't. It's still PG-13. It's like some of the reviews have said, like one of the reviews described the movie as a PG-13 bloodbath, and it isn't. Like it I would even be hesitant to call it gory. There's a few slightly implied bloody moments, but you don't see like showers of gore or anything like that. I mean, even a couple of the Illuminati deaths, it's more in their implication than it is what you see on the screen. But it has Raimi's signature style all over it, and just getting back whatever they've got in store for like Doctor Strange 3, and there's a couple of big points that this movie ends on. Just getting back, John Watts has left the Fantastic Four MCU movie. Get Sam Raimi to do it, because it's one of the first times that I really feel like I've sat there watching an MCU movie that hasn't been made by a director for hire, just putting a camera around and shooting things. And that's genuinely exciting. It looks like a movie in the way that, I do appreciate some of them do share a very sort of desaturated, almost bland look at times, which is kind of ironic given that they're based on comic books, which are by nature, Marvel comic books, very colourful, and the pages pop when you read them, and that's not always been the case for the MCU movies. So yeah, I won't waffle on too much. It's been a bit rudderless, this little chat, but it's just to put some thoughts on a video. I thought it was great. I'd probably give it, in all honesty, about a 9 out of 10. I don't really have much in the way of criticism for it. The pacing is relentless, and I think it'll lose people if you're not, again, like I say, on board with all aspects of the MCU. And to casuals, it's absolutely not a movie for casuals. If you just go in thinking, everybody's talking about this Doctor Strange movie, you know what, I think I'm just going to go, buy a ticket or use my limitless card and just go and see a movie this weekend, you will sit there and you'll probably be bored out of your mind, even though there's lots of CGI, whiz bang everything. If you don't understand like the plight of these characters, and you don't understand, what Wanda's doing all this for, then the entire movie will just fall flat, and that's a problem I do acknowledge with the MCU. It's quite unforgiving in terms of the fact that it, if you've not been keeping up, it's kind of almost not interested in you, and again, it is a problem when you're, nearly 30 movies into something. I don't really know how they're gonna get around that other than just expecting people to catch up. So solid, excellent entry. One of my favourites of Phase 4, easily. I actually, as I was on the drive back home, I was actually contemplating whether I preferred it to No Way Home or not, and I think I possibly did prefer it to No Way Home. It feels slightly less contrived in its setup than No Way Home, which I said at the time was like a movie of two halves. Like, it has No Way Home, I thought, had a very messy first half, because it was just basically working out a story so we could get to the second half, which is where all the great stuff happens. But I think the first half of No Way Home is quite an untidy film, whereas I didn't necessarily feel that with this. It gets straight into it. The action's sort of fun. The horror stuff's done reasonably well. Like I say, the performances are excellent. On a technical level, it's dazzling. I don't really honestly have a lot of bad to say. Briefly touching upon the endings, if this truly is Elizabeth Olsen's departure, because, spoilers, it does imply that she is killed at the end of this movie. She finally, is snapped out of her murderous rampage, and she decides to destroy the place where the book that she uses in the movie, The Darkhold, is from, and brings the temple down on herself. And if this truly is like her last appearance, and I really hope it isn't, but you know, she's been fantastic. I just do think it's a shame that we finally kind of get the Scarlet Witch and she's gone like the next entry later, but we will see what they have planned. And then the more important of the post-credit scenes introduces Charlize Theron's Clea, who is a character I must confess I know nothing about. The second post-credit scene has just a humorous Bruce Campbell appearance, continuing on from his early appearance in the movie. 9 out of 10, solid time. If you've got a passive interest in the MCU, you know, just brush up on the little bits you need. Go and have a good time. If you've not, I don't know what even you're watching this video for. So I will leave it at that. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the movie when you get to see it, or, you know, retroactively. Hope you enjoyed the movie now you've seen it and you're watching this review. So, brilliant. Thank you very much. See you all very soon. Bye-bye.